I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations.
Well, with me now, Stephanie Flanders, Bloomberg's head of economics and government, who also has this fantastic podcast, Voternomics, out Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. So when you look at the candidates in the U.S., how are they polling?
Well, we've had, there's been this sort of extraordinary thing where enormous things have happened in the campaign, and we've all got very excited, not least the withdrawal of President Biden as a candidate, the attempted assassinations on Donald Trump, and yet each time these big things happen, a decisive victory in the debate, in most people's view, for Kamala Harris in September, the polls move maybe a point. And what they talk about as calcification really seems to have happened, that people are you have at least 46, 47% of voters just going to vote for Donald Trump no matter what. A similar percentage saying they're going to vote for Kamala Harris with few margins. And of course, it's critically those swing state polls that we've been polling every month since the end of last year that are going to make the difference. But it is still remarkably close.
But Stephanie, it seems that, Kamala Harris wasn't able to build on her win in the election. Is that because it's not coming across? Is it because they're campaigning differently?
I think, there's some disquiet among Democrats, I would say. They're very good at panicking, and even when, in retrospect, they were clearly going to win in past election campaigns, this is a period where they start saying, is the candidate doing enough? Do they need to move the dial? I think there was a specific concern with Kamala Harris that she wasn't building on the momentum after the debate. She was still doing even the number of campaign appearances was not as much as they might have expected, just, several times a week rather than several times a day. That has all ratcheted up in the last few days, and you saw that big speech. I would say, the thing that most people said could be fundamental was the way that Kamala Harris has quite consistently increased support on economic issues, or at least narrowed the big gap. One of the ways of looking at this campaign was often, you just take the issue that's most important to voters, the candidate who's got highest polling on that is going to win. And if you've done that at any time really in this race, you would say Donald Trump's going to win because people care about the economy and he's favoured on the economy. That gap has narrowed.
But there was there's good employment numbers that came out on Friday. So should that give, again, it feels like Kamala Harris is probably being judged on the incumbent administration because they're Democrats. So that should naturally give her a lift.
You would think so. So you have the big interest rate cut from the Federal Reserve, which obviously Donald Trump was critical of, didn't like the timing, and you've had these good unemployment numbers, the job numbers stronger. We are seeing there's some other things, like it's quite hard to actually get a job at the moment, weirdly. The sort of turnover in the job market is lower. And I think the issue is, even if she's gaining on the economy, and we are seeing her narrowing the gap on all these things, unemployment, concern around taxes, concern around inflation, at the same time you have the Middle East, reminding all of those potential Muslim voters on the Democrat side that maybe they don't want to vote at all because they don't like either of these candidates. You have the hurricane in North Carolina also kind of just confusing things, raising questions even about the ability for people to vote in parts of North Carolina. So I think that's what got quite a lot of Democrats nervous and makes Donald Trump still look like he's maybe more likely than not to win.
So what are the candidates doing in the next 4 weeks? It feels like they're speaking more to social influencers or podcasts, and they are these big rallies.
Yeah, everybody they can, I think, is the answer. And even in the next day, you mentioned that Kamala Harris has done the CBS 60 Minutes. That's her arguably the sort of most serious mainstream network interview she's done. She's done one short one for CNN, but she has mainly been doing social media. She's doing a blitz. She's doing several more today of different kinds of TV, Hispanic channels, which, as we know, that's one of the other big issues. Although she's doing better with the Latino vote than Joe Biden was, still much lower than in 2020 or even 2016 in some cases. So you see people doing this narrow casting, trying to catch people wherever they can, because those crucial, even maybe tens of thousands of voters could make the difference.
But does that make a difference in the swing states? So if there's 300,000 people that they need to convince in those 6 swing states, do these big media blitzes actually help?
Well, I guess we're going to find out. I think that it is true that this is people have talked about that the Democrats' kind of quote-unquote ground game, the fact they have a lot more party offices on the ground, that they can be going out, getting out the vote in a way that arguably, well, the Trump campaign has people, but they're kind of paying people to do that. We'll see whether that ends up making a difference. But I think with some of these crucial voters, in Michigan, for example, the Muslim vote, I think with everything that's going on, she spoke to them yesterday. Kamala Harris spoke to a group of voters in Michigan. If they just stay at home, then all these efforts will not help her win that absolutely must-win state.